Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Marcus Grandberry. Marcus is a worldwide account manager with FedEx Cross Border. He has actually been working for FedEx for about 7 years now and has been moving up very rapidly within the company. He's really an amazing guy. Anyone who has been in the nightlife scene in Memphis for the last 25 years knows Marcus. He's also one of the few people that I know that usually always has a smile on his face, and that's pretty awesome too. Welcome to the show, Marcus.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually honored that you asked me, and I'm honored to be here to talk about whatever you need me to talk about when it relates to positivity and thinking big.
Absolutely. So tell us, first of all, tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
You know, one of the things I thought about with this, most people don't know this unless you're one of my close inner circle friends, is that every morning I start my day out with reading this book called The Daily Stoic. I cook my breakfast. I may sit here when I'm getting ready to start my day. I always want to read that because it gives me something of inspiration. And even though I've read it now, I think 2 years in a row, every time it's just different. You learn different things, you get an inspirational quote, or you may get a different way of thinking about something. So I start my day like that every day. And I also listen to podcasts that are inspirational. And one of those being Oprah Super Soul Sunday, whenever they update. This is from back in the day when she had her show, but she interviewed inspirational people that talk about various things that, inspired her or that can inspire others. So that's one of the things that I do every day that most people don't know.
I had no idea about that at all. So that's great. You've done so many things in your career. You've been in the financial business, the banking industry. You work with Hilton Worldwide, the healthcare industry, medical sales, and now you're with FedEx Cross Border. You've excelled every step of the way. And what do you believe the main reasons why you've been so successful so far?
Well, I would say this, one of the things about me is that I tell people all the time just to keep going. Even though it looks as though my success has been rapid and that I've done all these things, yeah, there have been obstacles. There have been times where, I had to start all over. One thing was when I worked for Fireball, that was a job that everybody thought was amazing, and it really was an amazing job. But I had to start over because it got to the point where I was traveling 15 days out of the month. I'm missing things with my family. I'm missing things with my friends. And I'm no longer in Memphis. All I'm doing is just traveling on the road, working for this job. And I just wanted to do something different. And, I ended up leaving the job before I had another job, which is one of those things they recommend, don't do that. And I learned a mistake that way because I had to start all over. I always like to tell people when they ask me about my FedEx career and, you started in the hub of FedEx and da, 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 da. Well, actually, I started in the hub twice because I started there in October of, I think it was, what year was that? I think it was like 2006 or something like that. And my aunt, my late aunt was the treasurer at the time. Well, yes. And she said, you worked for 1 month and you resigned. And I basically got out there and I like the hub it's a tough job. And I wasn't ready for that at the time. And I started there and I was unloading and offloading planes, and it was cold and raining. And I remember in November, it was like, oh my gosh, this is so cold. And I said, yeah, I'm going to resign. And I was there for 1 month. And she always teased me. She said, you resigned, you did it the right way. You gave me your 2 weeks notice, so you can always go back. And so that's exactly how I ended up back at FedEx, when I started in 2015 and working in the hub.
And that's a big thing that, many people don't realize how important it is not to burn those bridges. And, doing the way you did it, even though you were only there a month, you handled it professionally. And that's exactly why you're able to go back, right?
Yeah, and that's one of those things I was always taught as a child, and just growing up, and even, just instilled in me personally. always, never burn bridges and always do things the proper way.
A lot of people, you mentioned the Fireball. I think you did, it was about 8 years ago that you worked with the Sazerac company. And
Sazerac.
Right. And people think that your whole job was those 15 nights out of the month that you were out, able to be in nightclubs and bars. And they didn't see the other side of it, did they?
No, no one understood that. Again, when I got the job, I was excited about it as well. I'm like, oh, I get to travel all over the country. I get to go here and meet all these new people. And I truly did love doing that. But then once there were wedding invitations and then birthdays and things of that nature that I'm going to miss because I'm always traveling. I'm always getting on a plane. I'm getting off a plane. And I tried to make up for it. And it just became too much as a person. And I just wanted something where I'm here. Don't get me wrong, with this job that I have now, working, as a salesperson for Cross Border, I have to travel still, but it's not as much as that. It's not 15 nights out of the month. I got to be on the road going somewhere.
You have been a huge New Orleans Saints fan, I think, since you were in college at Xavier in the mid 90s, and you give your credit to your Uncle Mac for that. And we're also being able to be in Miami in 2010 for the Super Bowl when the Saints beat the Colts. I think it was like 31-17. You called that experience, quote, the highlight of my life. Then in 2018, you get a chance to meet Drew Brees at the FedEx Family House Gala. What were those experiences like for you, both of the Super Bowl and meeting Drew Brees?
The thing about it was when I went to Xavier in New Orleans, I went to school in 1994 when the Saints were really nothing. Like they were horrible. And I remember my Uncle Mac, he was a bank president for Liberty Bank. And he would say, we got to go to the games. We got to go to the games. I was like, do we really have to go to this game? And so what happened is this is back in the day where you could take your backpack. Right. So I would take my backpack and I would sit in the bench seats and I would do my homework. And I'm sitting there like, this is so boring. And then the way that the seats were, we were right behind the goalpost. So when there was a field goal, they'd kick the field. And I'm like, yeah, great, back to my work. And that's exactly how it was. And then they got better and they were getting better. And then as I was getting ready to leave, they got real good.
Right.
And so it was one of those things, I just became a fan. And the funny thing about the Drew Brees situation, the people at FedEx Family House knew that I was a huge Drew Brees fan. And they didn't tell me that he was coming. And so I just happened to be at work. And this young lady that worked with me, her father got an invitation to attend the gala. And she said to me, so Marcus, what do you think about Drew Brees being the celebrity guest? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, Drew Brees is the celebrity guest this year. And I was like, no, he's not. They would have told me this. And so I found out, I think it was the week that the gala was supposed to occur. And I went out and bought a football just in case I got the opportunity to meet him. Well, turns out they let me know like right ahead of time that they're like, you're going to meet Drew and all these kinds of things. And I never get really nervous about celebrities because I've met them before, but this was my quarterback. This is Drew Brees. So I'm like, this is my guy. So I'm dressed up and I'm in the line to meet him and I'm just nervous. And my date was there and said, calm down, you'll be fine. And I get up there and I meet him and I start talking. I was like, Drew, I'm one of your biggest fans. I've been a fan since I was in school and I'm a Saints fan since then. And he was like, calm down. Not going anywhere. And it was just a great thing. And I remember I met him. We took several photos. And I look here, I've still got the photo with him. And it's just like this Magic Johnson one, but it's except it's Drew Brees. And I went back downstairs, picked up the football, and I walked up there again. And I said, hey, can you sign this football for me? And he said, Marcus, since you're a true fan, he told the security guard, he said, you stand here. And he signed it for me. So I have my Drew Brees football here in my house, right by the Drew Brees picture.
That is so awesome. What a great story. What kind of a guy was he?
He was like the nicest guy. I mean, he was just, he talked about when he spoke during his speech, talked about how his grandfather inspired him. And he talked about his children and his family and his love for New Orleans. And, that's one of those things, like when you meet somebody like that is truly an inspirational person that just believes in people and just being a great guy. He's just all around great person.
And he's given, him and his wife have given so much money back, and also their time back to people too.
Yeah, when he was here, if I believe correctly, the FedEx Family House, when we get people to come to speak the gala, to do the gala, you have to pay them a fee. If I am correct, I think he gave his fee back to the FedEx Family House.
What a class act. That's awesome to hear about, because, we always don't hear positive stories about celebrities and people like that. And to hear something like that, just, it's a really good feeling inside.
Yeah, it really was.
Speaking of another celebrity, you've always been a big fan of Whitney Houston. You were so excited when she got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I think you said that she's the first artist who's ever had 7 consecutive #1 hits.
She was the first.
What makes you feel such a connection to her and her music?
Well, I'll tell you one thing about music for me, is that you can go from having a great day to a bad day to a better day if you listen to music. It can change your perception, it can change your mood and everything. And so Whitney was one of those artists that she had a voice that was just anointed. She could sing pop, she could sing R&B. There's even video of her singing with Pavarotti one time, and everybody was just wowed because she had this amazing voice. And so she's just one of those people that I always loved about, like using her gifts and understanding that she had a gift. In her life, she may have had some struggles. Sure. And trials, but she tried to get back out there. And I think that's one of those things that, to me, again, it inspires me, because it's about, even if you have some trials and things that go on in your life, keep going. Don't just give up. You got to keep going and just keep striving in life.
Absolutely. Back in December of 2018, you were out Christmas shopping, and you talk about how much you used to enjoy getting gifts from people. But that actually changed for you. You decided, you figured out in your mind, hey, I really enjoy actually giving gifts and seeing the people, look on people's face, and my friends and family, their faces. And that just gave you so much more pleasure. What do you think led to that change in you?
I don't know. I think it could have possibly been growth. I grew up as a very privileged child. I had a great family. My mom, my aunt, all my uncles and stuff, they did so much for me. And I was the kid that woke up on Christmas Day, and I walked into the living room and it looked like a toy store. So I was very blessed in that aspect, and I don't take that for granted. But I also love doing things for people, and especially like for my mom. Last year I had a surprise party. I had a surprise everything for her. Last year she turned 69, and one of her friends flew in from New York, surprised her. And then I surprised all of her girlfriends to come to her house. And I had one of my friends that allowed me the usage of their family suite for all of her girlfriends to go together. And they all surprised her at her house. She didn't even know they were going to be there. She thought I was going to take her. Then I had a limo for her to drive them to the concert. And then I surprised her at the concert. And so she was just overwhelmed. And the look on her face is what did it for me, just to let her know that I appreciated her and I wanted her to have this experience. And so, yeah, I love doing that for people. And I just love making people happy in the sense of doing things that, takes it outside of me. It's not about me all the time. Some people say, oh, yes, it is. No, it's not about me all the time. It's typically for me, I love to do things for people, and specifically like with the FedEx Family House and those children and those families. That's why I do what I do for them.
You also had a pretty special relationship with Lynn Turley, the wife of Henry Turley. She passed away in April of last year. You said, quote, "She was genuinely beautiful and kind and a great heart. Whenever I had a chance to see her, I knew that I was in for fun and laughter, and I will miss her greatly." How did the two of you meet and develop such a special bond together?
What's so interesting about that? I think I met her on a tour of downtown where I currently live, and Henry was leading the tour, and then I met Lynn. And Lynn and I ended up hanging out that entire day. And then we ended up going to Beale Street that night. And we talked and we just laughed. And I just met this lady. I didn't know who she was or anything like that, but her spirit was just like I would see her at Grizzlies games and she said, Marcus, oh my gosh. Every time she saw me, she had the biggest hug and the biggest smile. And that's something that you don't get all the time. And so when she was getting sick and when she was really sick, it was one of those things. I wanted to see her. I went to visit her, right when she still remembered who I was. And so I remember that to this day, just her smile and genuine personality. But we just met and we talked for hours about my life, her life, and what she had gone through and just things like that. And it's like they always say, cherish your elders. She was one of those that I definitely cherished.
Great story. Back in 2020, The Last Dance came out and I absolutely loved it. It was ESPN. In my opinion, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I mean, he played in a much tougher area of basketball back in the 80s and 90s where, they got hand checked. He went to the basket. He got clobbered when he went to the basket, still hit the shot, usually did not get a foul, that was called at that time. You said The Last Dance, quote, made you miss your life as a kid. All you had to worry about was watching Michael Jordan and going to school wearing your Jordans. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
So I remember this as a kid, and I told somebody recently, because the Jordans that they have now, they have the retros and that kind of thing. And I remember being a kid telling my mom that I wanted a pair of Michael Jordans. And this is when Jordans first came out.
Right.
And she's like, I'm not buying you a pair of $300 shoes. Have you lost your mind? And I was like, well, it's Michael Jordan. Only thing I loved back then was Michael Jordan, Whitney. And that was it. And I remember Christmas morning, toy store comes open and I had those Jordans. And it was just that's why I said I was so blessed and I didn't take it for granted. But that's what I remember as a kid, just being able to go to school and do my schoolwork and come home and just watch Michael Jordan and watch the Bulls and just be fun. And so that made me miss, it was nostalgic for me.
For my ninth question, appropriately, since you've said how important and special the number 9 is to you. You were born on 9/9. Your two favorite quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Joe Burrow, both have the number 9. They both obviously, Joe Burrow is going to be a major superstar in the NFL one day. I was born on the 11th, so was my dad, so was one of my grandfathers. So the 11 is special to me. And actually, I see that number 11 all the time. I don't believe in coincidences at all. And I believe that we're given and shown signs from our loved ones that have passed that are giving us signs to let us know that their spirit and their soul is still around. What do you think about that?
Well, interesting thing about what you said and the number 9, Whitney's birthday is August 9th.
There you go. No coincidences.
Another 9. But about that with family and, inspiration and things of that nature. I expressed that my aunt, my late aunt, God rest her soul, was, when she died, she was the treasurer of FedEx. And it's weird that I'm here now at the company that, she started at, I think in 1982 or something. I was born in 76. She started in 82. And I'm at the company that she, quote unquote, helped build. And I love working for the company. I love working here and I love the people of this company. And I think to a certain extent, she's always inspired me to keep going. And I just remember when she first started here, she, it was a small company and I watched her progress and go from here to there to become this and become that. And it's just one of those things. I think she still leads me to this day. It's ironic you asked me that question because I have this right here from when she died that the company put this together about her. And I look at it every single day when I sit at my desk to help me, to come somewhat guide me. And whatever I'm doing for this organization, whatever I'm doing for this company, I've got her right there with me, leading and guiding me, just inspiring me to do the best. Because, one of the things when she passed and Fred Smith, spoke at her funeral, he talked about how she exemplified the best. You know, she went to Yale, she went to MIT. She was what bringing your A game was all about.
You know, speaking of Federal Express, you know, FedEx made a major, huge difference during COVID. Richard Smith said, quote, "This is the most activity I have seen in my tenure at FedEx in terms of trying to support a truly global, you know, effort against this type of a pandemic." In your opinion, what makes FedEx such a special company?
The people. The people within FedEx is what makes this company amazing. And it's one of those things that, you know, I know Richard personally as a friend, and I know people that when they meet him, they're just like, wow, he's really a nice guy. He's really a down to earth guy, and he is. And when I remember starting at FedEx and I went to work in inside sales, they talk about people, service, profit. And that's one of the main things that they talk about. It's about the people that work for the company. And they teach you what that means, you know, to think about the people, think about the people that you're serving, think about the people that you work with. And they're really big on their employees. And I just remember some of the people, they would say, they keep teaching us all these lovey-dovey feelings and all these things about that, but it works. Because it's one of those things working for this company that I've felt ever since I've been here, that they care about me and they care about what's going on with me. Recently, my grandmother, who is 92, had to go to the hospital a couple of weeks ago, and she had to have the surgery, and she wasn't going to have the surgery. And I was nervous, I was sad, and I was this and that. And my boss just happened to talk to me, and he said, "Why are you at work?" He said, "Leave. Go be with your family. Go be with your grandmother. You know, this company is going to be here when you get back. You know, take that time, spend it with your family." There are not many companies that would do that. There are not many companies that would say, you know, don't work today. He was like, you know, do that. And so it's one of those things that I think when you're working at FedEx, that you feel that about being with people and being with a company that supports you and loves you and loves, you know, granted, we're in a business of making money, but at the same time, the people with FedEx is what makes FedEx.
You know, it's been a long time since I've seen Richard. About 25 years ago, I owned a bar on the Highland Strip called The Library. It was a little live music bar. And, and Richard actually, you know, with a couple of his friends used to come in there pretty frequently when he was home from school. I think he was at Virginia. And he used to come in the bar, and he actually was a real nice guy back then, even, you know, as a 21-year-old kid. And he also used to watch out for me. Like if there was a fight in the back of the bar, he would always come up and, hey, let me know what was going on. So I can attest to the fact that even though it's been a while, but he was a nice guy back then too.
Still a nice guy. You know, I talk to him quite often, you know, because we have a group chat. And so, yeah, he's a great guy. And I'm so proud of him and what he's accomplished. Again, he's one of those people that, you know, he dreams big. He believes in that. And he supports his friends as far as, you know, pushing me to do things and pushing all of our friends to do things. So I'm very lucky to have him as a friend.
You know, two things that I see you post a lot about is Barron's, I believe it's called Barron's Mancave, and also the Memphis 901 FC. Why are both of those so special to you?
You know, my friend Dara Von is the current owner of Vance Mancave, and she's Asian, and her family, you know, came here from Laos. She's Laosian, I think, and she's running this company. It was her dream. It was her baby when she started this company years and years and years ago. This men's high-end barbershop. She knew nothing about being a barber. She still to this day does not cut hair, but she had a dream. She left IP, had a dream, and said, you know, this is what I want to start. At the time, she started it with, I think, a partner at the time, and she just kept going. And, you know, there've been several instances and several times where she wanted to give up and she wanted to do this. And, you know, again, as a friend, as we talk to each other, I would always tell her, do what's best for you, but keep going, you know? And so I love to support her Because for one, she's my friend, and for two, she's inspiring. She's an inspiring person that continues to go. You know, even though someone may say this or someone may say that, she doesn't take it as a deterrent. She takes it as something, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to prove them wrong. And so I love that about her. So I'm always going to support Dara. I'm always going to support Bear's Mancave because, for one, they cut my hair and my hair looks good all the time. And shout out to Terrell. And yeah, that's it for her. I love her. So now 901 soccer team. Those are some of the coolest guys, some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I just happened to meet one of them. I think it was last Thanksgiving. My friend Patrick, who's one, I think he might be the captain, I'm not sure. But I met him during like a Friendsgiving type thing. We start talking. Next thing you know, we start hanging out. Then he introduces me to all the guys. And so now, like Patrick, Philip, Egbo, Graham, all those guys, we hang out. We go, you know, run around Memphis. I take them places. I introduced them to the Italian festival this year. They didn't know what it was. They're like, this is awesome. I introduced them to barbecue festival this year. And so again, it's one of those things, is supporting people that are positive people and positive things going on in this city. So right now, 901 Soccer, they're doing great. And I'm going to continue to support them. And, you know, and they gave me the opportunity to break the guitar. I had my own jersey that said the Grandberry on the back of it. And it was just fun. And so I'm always going to continue to support those guys.
You know, besides COVID being a difficult time, you know, when it started back in 2020 for everyone, you know, you lost three people who were really special to you. JJ Spencer, Chris Jarman, and Rusty Heineman. You talk about how JJ used to say to people, "Hey, I love you. You know that, right?" And Jarman obviously was such a character and just a funny guy. And Rusty, you said, was, you know, one of a kind and very loving and loved to have fun. And tell us a little bit about your times with those guys.
You know, JJ, and I would say this, it's one of those things that, you know, they say, don't take your friends for granted and tell them that you love them, and don't hold things in, or if you, what have you. JJ was one of the most loving people that I've ever met in my entire life, bar none, hands down. He was just a loving guy. And he would always do that. When I would walk into a bar, when I walk into anywhere where JJ was, he's like, my man, I love you, and give me a big hug every single time. And it's one of those things, like, you know, I don't say I took it for granted, but not being able to see him, I do miss that. Yeah. And so, you know, I just loved my time with them. And Jarman was one of those people, you know, he was always going to be at Brookhaven. If I walked into Brookhaven on a Friday afternoon, Jarman's going to be sitting at that bar, and he's going, Marcus, come on, let's sit down, let's have a drink, you know, let's talk or whatever. And he was just a lovable big old character. Now, Rusty was my guy. Rusty Heineman was one of the nicest people. I had so many experiences with Rusty because he would take me places and show me things that, you know, I didn't know anything about. You know, he would, I remember one time, he was just fun. One time we raced his Bentley against his neighbor across the street. Like, we were racing cars together. Like, we go to the track and we go to the race park in a Bentley, like in Millington, in a Bentley. He races his friend like in this race park. And I'm like, this guy is larger than life. And he was just a fun character. You know, he was one of those people, like, there's a photo that my friend Paula Rayford and I, we went to Babalu one time, and it was a Saints game, and Nelly, I don't know where we came up with this idea to put like, what was it? The Band-Aids on our face like Nelly. And myself, Paula, Caress, and Rusty, Caress's wife, we all had Band-Aids on our face and took this picture at Babalu as we just sat there watching the game and just being fun. And I guess one of the things that would maybe to some people, that as I'm saying this, I love fun and I love people that love life and love having fun. be it Dara, be it Richard, be it Rusty, all of the people that are in my life that I hang out with now and I do things with, and I've done things in the past. I just noticed this. They all like to have fun and they love life and they persevere through whatever challenge that they may go through. And so I can truly say, as I'm sitting here talking to you, that I've surrounded myself with people, and that's what they do. So I think that might be a key to me being a person, and a key to my success is surrounding myself with people that love life and love having fun and just love being good people.
Back on March 23rd of 2020, shortly after COVID hit, you were on a conference call with people in your group, your team at FedEx. I believe your vice president, your director, they were all on the call, and your vice president said, "Can we have a moment of silence for Marcus, who's not been able to go out and enjoy Memphis nightlife for the past 2 weeks? He has to be climbing the walls, having to stay away from downtown this long." As funny as that is, it was probably pretty accurate, wasn't it?
It was very accurate. Yes, that was my former vice president. And it was one of the funniest things because I wasn't expected. Like, we were on a call with all of our sales teams and we're being all serious. And when he says it, like a moment of silence, I'm just like, "Ooh, who died?" Right. And then when he said that about me, I couldn't help but laugh. And the funny thing about it, my current director and the person who hired me at Cross Border, he laughed as well, because everybody at Cross Border and everybody that knows me knows that I love to go out and I love to have fun. And so being at home all this time, it was just like, geez, I just want to go out and see people. But, safety first. And so I just stayed at home all that time. But he was very right, because all I was doing, just sitting at home every day, working and looking at my fish. At the time, I had a huge fish tank that is now at my mother's house. But I would look at the fish would watch TV with me, and I talked to the fish. And they got so used to me being home. When I watched TV, they'd come and sit behind me. Or if I got on a Zoom call, the fish were right behind me. So yeah, it was kind of crazy.
That's pretty funny. In 2020, you posted a lot of different quotes and sayings. I remember you felt you had a connection to, that you felt you wanted to share and inspire people. And my favorite was, you said, quote, it said, "A person who is happy is not happy because everything is right in their life. They're happy because their attitude towards everything in their life is right." In my opinion, I think that describes you to a T, don't you?
I think it does. Again, it's part of my philosophy. It's about your attitude. It's about, what you think of yourself and pushing yourself. And I repeat that everything in my life has not gone perfect. It has not gone swimmingly. Although people think I live this perfect life and all that stuff, it hasn't been that way. But I have the attitude of always trying to persevere and always trying to do the best and always trying to do better. And I think that's what makes me as a person. And so I think you're right about that.
You've been super involved at FedEx since you started there 7 years ago. You've won several awards. I believe in 2019, you won several performance awards. You got there right behind you. And there's no doubt that you have an amazing work ethic to be able to do what you do. I think that what you've done outside of your normal job duties, actually, it's even more special and more important. You're on the FedEx Family House Advisory Council, as the FedEx House. You're the chairman, sponsorship chairman for the run. For anyone who isn't familiar with the FedEx Family House, tell us about it, please.
Well, I'm actually, this year, I'm actually the race director for the FedEx Family House 5K. And so September 17th. And if anybody has questions about it, feel free to go to fedexfamilyhouse.org/run. But the thing about the FedEx Family House, it's basically a place where, families can go. If you have a child, like you're living outside of the city of Memphis, you have a child being treated at LeBonner Children's Hospital. It's a place that you can go, your family can stay, you stay for free, they have meals there, and you don't have to worry about, where am I going to stay when my child is being treated? because that's one of the things that people worry about constantly. If you have a child that's going to be there for 6 weeks, you're wondering to yourself, what am I going to do?
Right.
And so basically the 5K that I'm the race director for, it raises money for the operation of the FedEx Family House. Can you imagine that there have been over 256,000 families that have stayed at this place here in Memphis, Tennessee, right across the street from Lebanon, for free? Can you imagine how much it takes to run that place?
No
It's
way.
amazing. It's a lot of money. And so, yeah, I volunteer for them. I'm doing this run. I'm not getting paid to do this.
Right.
I was over the sponsorship committee for the past 4 years. And then last year, I kind of came in at the very last part to be race director. And this year, I've been the race director for the entire year. It's a lot of work. I have a job that I have to do daily. And then after that, then I have to go and do this job, putting things together, reaching out to people to become a sponsor. Luckily this year we've had the Hyatt Centric Bill Street. They're giving me the entire rooftop for a sponsor party. So that's going to be all of the sponsors, possibly some FedEx executives, Lebanon executives, Methodist executives. All these people are going to be up on the rooftop that they gave me this. Ruby Red Media, John Arroyo, who you've interviewed recently. He did these amazing videos for free and support.
He's really good.
But he did them for free. And so when people look at them, they're just like, wow, I can't believe he did that. Volunteer this time. We did it here, then we did one at Shelby Farms, and then Neon Canvas. They redesigned our logo for free. And so the thing about it is, they're doing these things, and I'm doing these things to support these families and to support this great place where these people can live and not worry about where we're living, what are we going to eat, and that kind of thing. So yeah, the FedEx Family House is extremely important to me.
I was reading a woman named Amy Gagel. She was a mother of a patient at Lebanon back in July of 2020. She said, quote, "I never have to feel alone in this journey." That's what makes all the difference, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and I think one of the things is when you visit the house, and I was on a tour recently with the people from Hyatt Centric, and Sandra Lewis, who is the regional, the house director, so to speak, she told us, she said, we recommend that people go down and eat dinner together, eat breakfast together. Don't eat in your room. And she said this because it's a sense of family. You go down there, you're eating with somebody, you're eating with another family, and you're able to talk to them about what are you going through, or how are you going through this, or how are you dealing with it. That's what it's about. When you have a child who is sick, you're able to go down there and just meet other people and converse and know that there are other people there just like you. And so again, that's why I'm going to do everything that I can to make this event, one of the best that they've ever had and one of the largest that they've ever had. And I want people to come out. And if you have questions about any of this, don't hesitate to reach out to me because it's going to be a great event.
You're always, since I've known you, I guess around 17, 18 years now, you've always been a real positive person. You never engage with people online, anything negative or controversial on social media. I just love that about you. You've said that, social media for you is about entertainment, not personal problems or arguments. How have you been able to, in many situations, keep calm and do that so well?
What's one of those things? There have been instances where I've wanted to say a lot of things. And there have been instances where I've written them out. And then I think about it and I always say to myself, is this going to change my world? Is this going to change their thought process? More than likely, that's a no. Right. So why am I going to waste my time arguing with someone about whatever, when I can go on to do something else that's making me happy or making someone else happy or living my life? I've had people that if I post one thing positive about someone, they have a negative thing to say about them every time, a negative thing to say about this person or what have you. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even acknowledge what they say because I'm just not a negative person.
Right.
And so, yeah, I use social media for positivity. Like I on Instagram, I follow all these positive accounts, and every now and then I will post something that I see to give somebody else inspiration, that they may need that day, because that's how I do things. I don't really go with the negative stuff because I just think it clouds your judgment, clouds your mind, and it feeds into you becoming a negative person. So that's just the way I've always done it. I just always rise above it and stay and try my best. I'm not perfect, but I try my best to always go with something positive and have a positive outlook on anything.
I saw a life lesson quote of yours that really hits home for me. It said, quote, always remember those who are there for you when you need them. And now I think now more than probably any time in my life, those words are so important to live by, and that so many times that people take their loved ones for granted. How do you think there's some ways that we could change that?
I think I think being attentive to people and letting them know how you feel and letting them know that you appreciate them. Again, I'm blessed to have such a great network of friends that care about me, and if I say I'm having a bad day, or this happened to me, or this happened today, I'm not doing well today, they're going to be there for me to say, hey, you know what, let's go eat. Or they may contact me twice in a day, say, you feeling better, you want to go work out, you want to do this, or what, you want to do that. And I think that I'm the same way. If I know one of my friends is going through something, I'm going to be that person that reaches out to them and tries to make them feel better. And I think one of the major things is to let them know that you appreciate them. People don't have to care about you as a person. They just really don't. And especially when they have families, they have kids, they have jobs, they have this, they have that. They don't have to do any of that. But if you take the time to let them know what they mean to you, be it if you just tell them, or then if you go on, if it's their birthday, you do something special. Because typically I'm that person on birthdays with my friends. Like, I'm the person, I listen to them throughout the year.
Right.
And then they may say, I've always wanted to do X. And I'm like, bingo, got it. So I'm the person that would show up and say, hey, remember when you said you wanted this? Well, there it is. Because I want that look on their face. I want to surprise them. I want to make sure they understood that I appreciate them. I pay attention to them, and I want to make them happy. So yeah, I just think it's just telling them sometimes what they mean to you, the biggest thing.
We both went to Ridgeway High School. You graduated a few years after I did. And I had a teacher, and we both had him, that really had a huge impact on my life. Harry Rainey. He was the English teacher, AP English teacher for us at Ridgeway. So many great memories of him. He passed away in the last few years. What do you remember most about Mr. Rainey?
I remember Mr. Rainey he was a little guy, and the funniest thing about him, he would stand outside of his class.
Yes,
And
I
he would
remember
never
that.
say a word. He would say nothing, and he'd just look at people. He just give these stares. And then when you would walk into his room, it was like it was a switch. It was like he flipped on the light switch, and he started holding, he would hold on to his lectern, and he would yell and move his body all around. And he gets so, don't you just love this literature and Shakespeare? And I was talking to someone recently, and I can still quote the Canterbury Tales, one little girl with a sugar soap. And that's been over 20 years that I remember that entire thing. But he was that kind of teacher that you just love to, and well, maybe this is me. I love to go to his class because he would keep me entertained. Like, we would go in there, and again, he was just the most quiet person. But then once it was time for class, he would get into reading Chaucer and Shakespeare, and he would just fling his body all over the place. And he was like, God, don't you love it? And it was just funny. And he made me enjoy literature. And to this day, I still love to read. I like to read. I haven't read any Chaucer in quite some time, but I could read some Shakespeare and understand the inner meanings of what was going on, because he taught us those types of things. And he was just a great guy, just a really fun person to be around.
He really, in my memory of him, he really made you want to give your best.
Yes.
I mean, he really pushed, he knew how to push the right buttons in a positive way. And I remember that I think that if you did not take AP English from him, he didn't like the other. I mean, he had the other classes, but AP English was his baby. And he really felt like that you needed to take that class.
And he would tell you, like, he would say these things about, he's like, they don't know anything. You're the prize. You're going to be the ones that lead the world. And he said, one day you're going to pull up here in your Porsche convertible and you're going to say, hey, Mr. Rainey, I made it. And he was just like, where is this guy getting this stuff? But he was always just that kind of guy. It was awesome.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. And you're right. He made you want to go to his class and you looked forward to it every day because you did not know what to expect out of him.
Never.
You describe yourself as being one of the most sarcastic people that you'll ever meet. But you also describe yourself as being a very loyal person. To me, that means that you love to have fun and play, but you're also a real genuine and caring guy. You just want the same in return from other people, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's it. And again, as I'm having this conversation with you and I think about all the people that I spend the most time with, that's what we all have in common. We're very loyal people. If you're one of my friends and, we spend time together, I'm always going to be there for you and support you in whatever it is that you need me to support you in whatever endeavor. If it's you're trying to get a new job or something, if there's someone there that I can reach out to and give a reference to, I'm going to do that. If there's something that you need me to show up for and talk about or lead something for, I will do it. Just because, supporting your friends and being a loyal person to me is a special thing. And I always want that from my friends. Even if I'm doing something wrong, that's when you tell me as my friend, you're doing this wrong, or you may have a wrong attitude or about this or that. And I think that's also a thing with being friends with people. You can have arguments and disagreements with people because that's what life is about. I don't need yes people around me. That's one of the things that Richard said to all of us, our group of friends, one time. He was like, if you don't agree with something that I'm doing, tell me, let me know. I want you to be my friend. I don't want you to be my yes person. And I'm the same way. I like to just surround myself with people that they're going to support me and tell me the truth and still love me if they don't agree with me, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
You talked about your mom a little bit earlier, and I've seen you post many things about your mom over the years on social media, on Facebook. And I know the two of you guys have a very close relationship. You said, quote, "There is nothing that I wouldn't do for my mom because her love is like no other." Yeah. I think she has a big birthday coming up, March 14th, I believe, or somewhere around that time.
March 13th.
13th, excuse me. Is she going to be 70 next year?
70. And it's so funny because all of her friends, when they went to before we had this thing this year, and I talked to each and every one of them, I said, do not tell her a word. And so when I told them all the things we were doing, we did a brunch at her house. I had the limo, I had the suite, I had all these things. They were like, well, Marcus, if this is her 69th, what in the world are you going to do for her 70th? And I said, you know what? This may sound morbid, but she's not promised to be here for 70. God knows I want my mom as long as I can have my mom, but she's not promised to be here. And again, with people dying and things happening in this world that we live in today, you cherish people and you do things for them when you have the opportunity. And again, I had the opportunity to do all of those things on a Friday night, take her to that concert, all this stuff, and I did it. Now, what am I doing for the 70th? I have no earthly idea, no earthly idea. And she's going to listen to this thinking, what is he going to do? But whatever it is that I do for my mom, it's going to be special because I've done so many things for her, and I will continue to do things for her because she's always been there for me. She's gone above and beyond, when it comes to me, raising me, putting me through college and things of that nature. And so I'm always going to do anything that she wants me to do. I was just with her yesterday. I went to her office, one of her offices at Methodist, and she was getting ready to leave. She said, I got to go get gas. And she lives in Collierville. And I said, well, let's go to this gas station over here. I'll pump it. That's just how I am with my mother. And so I don't think there's ever a bounds or anything that she asked me to do that I won't do.
I mentioned before, you being, the FedEx Family House run sponsorship chairman, you said you're in charge of the race this year. With your leadership the past several years, I believe almost $400,000 has been raised, from the races that you've had, including last year, but I think it was virtual, last year.
We're still adding we still have a virtual component this year because, FedEx is such a large worldwide company. So I feel what's going to happen is when most people hear about it and, there's some publications and things, I'm probably going to do some press here in Memphis, and then I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn, and other people put it on their LinkedIn, and then there are people in Europe that are going to see it and say, I want to be a part of this. Sure. That's why we kept the virtual element, so that if you're listening to this in California, you can still be a part of this. We have the virtual component.
And that's what, trying to find something positive out of a negative like COVID. The positives you can find out about it is like what you talked about, the virtual that probably would have never been thought of before if it hadn't been for COVID. I mean, even nowadays, people being able to work from home in some jobs and being able to be around their children and do things like that. COVID, as negative as it is, and it's horrible, a few positives did come out of it. And it's like you said, you're able to reach so many more people with the virtual event.
Yeah. And again, and it's one of those things when we were talking about it this year, we were so excited to be back running actual outside, with people. And we were lucky enough to get Shelby Farms. And so that's why we think it's going to be one of the biggest ever, because you have such a beautiful place out there. And once, we have do all this various press, all the various press that we're planning on doing and getting people out there, it's going to be great. But we didn't want to kill that virtual aspect, because we just want people, that are not in the city and not even in the United States to be able to do it. Because I know we had, I think, 5 or 6 people last year from the Netherlands or somewhere in Europe that they ran virtually.
It's the 5th anniversary this year, isn't it? Yes, Shelby Farms. It's on September, I believe, 17th this year. And you talked earlier about the guitar that you got to smash. What was that like?
It was seriously one of the coolest things that I have ever had the opportunity to do. Basically, the soccer guys kept mentioning it to me. They were like, we want you to smash the guitar. So basically, before every 901 soccer game, they have a guitar that they smash. And my friend Paula Rayford, she did it last year. And I remember going with Paula, and then they were telling her, they're like, make sure you smash it here and this, that, and the other to make sure you get it to break and all this kind of stuff. And so I kept saying, and they said, well, you're the race director for the FedEx Family House 5K run. We want you to do it as the race director. And I said, no problem. And so when the guys gave me my own jersey that said the Grandberry on the back of it, and they confirmed it, I think they confirmed a week before, you're doing it, you're smashing the guitar. And I had all my friends like Richard, my friend Candace, and Paula. Paula presented the actual guitar to me. And so when she presented it to me, I broke the guitar like the first time, I cracked it the first time. And it was just fun. It was awesome because there were so many people that came out to support me. And I thank all of you guys that did. And it was just larger than life, to be out on the field breaking the guitar and everybody's yelling, Marcus Grandberry. So it was just fun. It was awesome.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life?
I think one of the most important lessons I've learned is to be humble, be thankful, live your life for yourself, not your family, not your mate, not, your friends. Live your life for yourself, because you only get one shot. You get one shot at life, but always remain humble. Whatever you do, Again, I tell people all the time, I'm extremely blessed. I have some of the best friends in the world. I work for the best company in the world, in my opinion. And so I don't take that for granted. And, always remain positive. Just have a positive outlook on life. And the last thing, keep going, because you never know where your life is going to lead you. You may think you're going down this path, and this is one of the things they teach us at FedEx. You're going down this path, and this may happen, and you fall off. Well, don't fall off and just stay there. Fall off, get back on, keep going. The path may go a different direction, but keep going. And what's meant for you is meant for you. I remember one time that when I got this job at Cross Border, I got this job because I met my current director. I met him out at Brookhaven. And it was the craziest thing because I applied for another job. I thought I had this job. I had studied for this job. I met with the manager. I met with the director, and I didn't get the job. And I could have been negative and, not supported the person. I congratulated the young lady that got the job, and it was doing events for FedEx because I just knew that that's what Marcus Grandberry should be doing. Right. And I met my current director, Greg, and he watched me. He said, I loved your energy. I loved, like, you knew everyone walking in, and you were able to he said, you just had a vibe about you that was so positive that I wanted you working for me. And that's how I got the job, because he said, he told me about this position. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if this is me. I don't know if it's that. I applied for the job. I got it. Love working in Cross Border. We help companies that are trying to go international. We have the solutions. They don't know anything about duties and taxes. They don't know anything about commercial invoices. Well, we got the solution. We do all of that for you. We can handle all of that. And so that wasn't part of what I wanted to do, but that's where I got led, and it was meant for me. And so that's what I tell people. You may have this idea of what you want in life, but for me, God or whomever, they may have something better for me, and this was better for me. And so just keep going, stay humble, don't give up. That's it. That's what I got.
You have always been really nice to me, and anytime I've ever seen you out, or back in the day when I had the pool parties, it was always a lot of fun being around you. You really are one of my favorite people, and so it is not a shock to me at all to see you have been so successful, and at the same time, all the giving back that you have done. It really just, your character is really awesome. And if people would like to participate in the 5K, what do they need to do?
Well, the link is FedExFamilyHouse.org/run. That will take you to the main page, and you're able to look on there to see, there's one of the families, the video that John did for Ruby Red Media. It's one of the families on there. It talks about their story at the family house. And I think I'm at the very end at Shelby Farms saying, join us here, that kind of thing. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor, because we still have sponsorship opportunities available, if you go to that link in the middle of the page, you'll see sponsorship opportunities, and you can just go on there, and it gives you the ability to reach out to me, or just reach out to me directly if you're interested in becoming a sponsor. But just join us and help us support the FedEx Family House and these families and the operating budget for the FedEx Family House.
And people can volunteer also if they want to. They can donate. There's a lot of different ways to be involved, right?
Yes, you can do a race team. You can volunteer. Lisa Vincent with FedEx, she is over our volunteers. But again, you can reach out to me if you want to volunteer. But you can have a race team. I was just speaking to a friend of mine, Rob Awater, that works for Fifth Third Bank, and he's going to do a team. And he said all of his clients, I think he's in bonds. He's going to have all of his clients that want to support his team. They're going to support him, and he's going to give, I think, $1 or $5 for every person that joins in supporting his team. So there's so many opportunities that you can do with supporting this cause and event.
Marcus, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on today. It's been a lot of fun for me to talk to you today.
Well, thank you so much. Again, I'm just honored that you chose me to ask these things. And again, I'm willing to help out any way that I can to support this, because this has been very fun. It's been very
Awesome. I will hope to see you soon. And I'm definitely going to be out there for the race. So I will see you there for sure.
September the 17th, Shelby Farms. Let's go. See you on the trails.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.